Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machin La'ira Online Smicha. With the development and new technology, new things that the Eibishter allows the world to grow with. So one of the shilas that comes up is today's days, people are able to grow things artificially. Whereas since mysobracious fruits and vegetables grow from the ground or grows from trees, today's days, they're able to grow vegetables, different fruits, in a different environment. It's an environment that's artificial, and it's what we call hydroponic. Hydroponic vegetables, they have it in lettuce, they have it in different vegetables. And the shaila, there are many shailas. Some people actually believe that it's much easier to prevent bugs and worms to grow in those things, but that has to be checked out. But the two main shailas that are connected to it is if it doesn't grow naturally the way it used to be from the ground, what bracha do you make when you eat it? Because we know there are different brachas for different foods. For things that grow in a tree, we say bayra pri'etz. Grow from the ground, you say bayra pri'adam. Things that grow like mushrooms, grow in the air or anything not in the ground and not in the tree, you say shahako. Being that these vegetables today's days grow in water, in some kind of container, however they do it, it doesn't grow. It's not, the nutrition doesn't come from the ground. Doesn't make sense to say that you should make the bracha of bayra pri'adama. And then there's the second question, being that it's lacking that component, would it be kosher to be used for moror on Pesach? We know that the Shulchan Aruch, the Gemara says that one of the things you use for moror is lettuce, and there's a specific reason for lettuce, even though it's not as bitter as horseradish or anything else. It's because it has the sweet and the sour, and it has the sweet and the bitter, and it has the soft and the hard, which is the way that parish seduce the Jews to work. But lettuce that we usually speak about, chazeres, is the lettuce that grows from the ground. How about the lettuce that was grown artificially? Would it be allowed to be used for moror on Pesach? So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, Chacham Ovadia Yosef in Shalos Hashuvas Chavadas, he holds that the bracha, because of this, the bracha on these lettuce and these vegetables are not ha'adama, because it didn't grow from the ground. It should be shahako. And he says it doesn't get its nutrition from the ground, so how can you say bayra pri'adama? Just like the mushroom, you make a shahako. And we find also that all the achrayim that discuss this try to connect it to the halachas of a otzitz she'enei nakiv. You know that things grow in the ground, and there are things that grow in flower pots and pots, and that's what we call the otzitz. So there's a otzitz nakuv, that there is a hole in the otzitz, that even though it's growing contained in the pot, but the nutrition is still coming through the hole from the ground. But then there's a otzitz she'enei nakuv. It's completely closed, and there's a disconnect. It's growing in the pot by itself. And over there, the Gemara, the Yerushalmi in Kolayim speaks about if something grew from a otzitz she'enei nakiv, could you make a moitzi on things that grew that way, or because it didn't grow from the ground, it doesn't have the cheshivas and doesn't have the right to make the bracha of ha'adama. So in this case, the Chaye Adam, for example, writes that you compare it to what the Yerushalmi discusses about the otzitz she'enei nakiv, and just like over there, the Yerushalmi is questioning whether it's connected to the ground, legabi the bracha of ha'moitzi. So too, the Chaye Adam says perhaps these things that grow in water are shahako. However, Rav Wozner, in the Shevet HaLevi, and other poskim, they hold that even though this particular one that you're eating didn't grow in the ground, but nevertheless you still make ha'adama. And they say the reason is because the Chazal established a uniform bracha for anything. Most of these species grow from the ground, so the uniform bracha for these type of items is a is a hadama. So it applies here too. Since ordinarily they grow from the ground, they grow with soil. Now the difference between atzitz nakov or atzitz shein nakov on here is this is even a step lower. By atzitz shein nakov, that at least there's soil that it grows from. Over here, it's not even soil; it's growing from water. So in Shemitah, there's also a discussion. Would it be a problem if you're cutting or you're working with the atzitz shein nakov? Is it? But at least over there, there's soil. So there's a discussion. Over here, there's water. So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef held that you make a shahakol. Many other poskim hold that you make a hadama. Now, even Rabbi Ovadia Yosef held that if somebody made a bayir pri hadama, he doesn't have to make a new bracha shahakol because it is a universal bracha that's accepted. That is about the bracha. How about moror on Pesach? So the Gemara in Pesachim, Daf Lamed Hamid Beis, says that a person could fulfill the mitzvah of moror even if the moror was grown in a flower pot. Now a flower pot, as I mentioned before, is a step higher because at least it has the soil. So based on this, some say even though it has soil in the flower pot, but if it's good enough for moror, that way it's also good enough for moror if you did it in the hydroponic way. That's what some believe. However, we have another issue, and that is since the bracha is a question. Some say it's a shahakol, and some say it's hadama. Even though most of the poskim lean towards hadama, on the night of Pesach, there's the additional problem. We don't make the bracha on the moror. We make the bracha on the karpas, and we have in mind the moror. And the karpas, you made a hadama. And so if, you have to know, and the karpas hadama is moitzi the moror. So it's only if the moror is a hadama. So this is how these two issues are intertwined.